In last lecture we talk about the taxonomy key. So basically we know that the taxonomy key is simple tool used for the identification of specific object. So in taxonomy key is one of the most useful tool available to scientists trying to identify an unknown organism. So systematic rely on key to help identify known organism and determine whether they have discovered new organism entirely. So basically we can say that the taxonomic key help us to identify the unknown organism. So in last lecture we talk about the taxonomic key and its proper way to construct it and use it. So today we talk about the taxonomic key, its types and their advantage and disadvantage. So let's start today's lecture, that is taxonomic key, lecture number 2nd. So basically we know that the taxonomic key are used for the identification of plants and animals, because on our earth there are a variety of organisms live and survive. These organisms show the diversity, and this diversity among them confuse us to identify them, so that we have to classify them according to their character based on the anatomy, embryology, paleontology or many aspects. For the identification, we use taxonomic keys. So this device having a series of contrasting characters. So in opposite characters, for example, nucleus is present, nucleus is absent. So these are contrasting character of organism, which having this character, we can compare these characters for the identification of organism to find the what actually this organism belong from the what taxa. So basically we can say that the taxonomic key is help in identification of unknown plants and animals to human being. So this taxonomic key having two type, that is Dichotomous key, and second one is Polyclave. Polyclave is also called as multiple access or synaptic key. So talking about Dichotomous key. So first of all we talk about the Dichotomous key. So key in which the choice allow only two alternative couplet are known as Dichotomous key. So in last lecture I told you what is meant by couplet. So couplet is a pair of two statement. So in Dichotomous key, it having the series of this alternative couplet for the choice of the statement, so that we can easily find the actual place of the unknown organism. So in contrasting the key, the contrasting character are chosen that divide the full set of possible species into smaller and smaller group. So basically we can say that these characters or these two alternative couplets useful for the identification or comparison of organism for identification. So basically the statement typically begin with the broad character and become narrower as more choice are required. For example, the kingdom start from the cell type. They may be unicellular, multicellular. Second character is nucleus. Nucleus is present or absent, and then they goes the narrower and narrower. For the scales are present, the hairs are present. So these are the narrower character regarding to classes, genus, species. So they from broad spectra they get narrower spectra, so that we can easily identify the organism based on their character. So Dichotomous word is come from Greek root which means two and temenos means to cut. So basically the couplet can be organized in several forms. So each time a choice is made, a number of species are eliminated from consideration, and a range of species to which unknown specimen may belong to narrow. So eventually, after the sufficient choices have been made, their range reduced to single species and the identity of the unknown plant is revealed. So basically couplets are organized in several forms. So the couplet can be presented using the numbers or using letters. So they may be numerical or alphabetical. So let's see the example of Dichotomous key or presentation of Dichotomous key. So in the couplet can be presented together or grouped by the relationship. There is no apparent uniformity in presentation of Dichotomous key. So these are the example of numerical key of couplet and the alphabetical key couplet. So in this first example, you can see that the first point is talking about the seed shape. So seed is round, it may be soybean or seed oblong. So if seed is oblong, we have to go second point. Then it find the seed white or seed black. If seed is white, that is northern beans. If seed is black, then black beans. So we can easily find the what actually kind of that plants and organism belong from class. Or this is another example, that is alphabetical key couplet. So in this couplet you can see that this is A and this is B. So A belongs to seed shape where B belongs to seed color. So if seed belong, we have to go to B. Or if seed is round, then it may be soya bean. So if we click on seed belong, so we have to go B, so that from color of B we can find the what actually that seed is belong from the class. So these are the types, that is numerical key and alphabetical key. So basically Dichotomous key having two main types, and they differ in method by which the couplet are organized and how the user directed to successive choices. So first one is intended key, which is also called as yoked key, and second one is bracketed key. So let's talk about the intended key. So to intended means to begin a line or lines at greater or less distance from the margin. So in this figure or in this example, you can see that the intended means begin a line or lines at greater or less space from the margin. So margin having the great or less space. So this is the type of intended key. And this intended key then is one of having uneven or irregular border. So the couplet in this key are intended from left hand margin of the page in such a way as to show their importance. So basically the intended choice or leads of the couplet an equal distance from left margin. So the two choice are usually labeled as 1B or AA. So it is not necessary that the choice are number, but it helps. The user goes to the next intended couplet following the lead that was selected. So these are the leads and couplets. So you can, after your choice, that is first one is organism with only one cell. So you have two choices, that is no nucleus and has nucleus. If you click on no nucleus, it is means Monera. If it has nucleus, it means Protista. Then second one is, that is organism with more than one cell. If organism having more than one cell, or it may be autotrophic or heterotrophic. If it is autotrophic, then it planty, or if it is heterotrophic, it may be animalia. So if we click heterotrophic and goes to 2 points, then they having two leads, that is it may be motile or immotile. So if it motile, it may be animalia, or if it immobile, then it may be fungi. So these are the choice based intended key. So talking about the advantages of this intended key, this key is advantageous in sense of the relationship of various division. It's quite apparent to eyes and can be used to reverse also. It serves good purpose for key to higher text and comparative keys. So this key help us to identify the organism by comparing them and comparing their characters, and morphology. So, also this key having some disadvantage. So, when the key is short, it work alright, but in long keys, the alternative get widely separated and take more space. So, moreover, this can lead to much white space in print and consequently little remaining room for lead, text, and illustration. So, basically, the typing of this intended key form their leads. If they get long, the typing of this intended key may be mistakenly get widely separated and take more space. So these are the advantages. So next point is bracketed keys or branching key. So such a key are also meant for easy and quick separation of spaces as far as group is small. So it is quite useful for the field workers. So it provides the both choice side by side and the choice of the couplet must be number or letter. So it is very helpful. And if previous couplet is given, the key has exactly the same choice as the first example and the choices are separated, but it is easy to see the relationship. While this key might be more difficult to construct, it gives more information to user. So in this figure you can see that if so these are the two couplet or two branching of the keys for the identification of organism. So first point is organism with one cell, or second one is organism with more than one cell. If we find unknown organism and talking about that and it find it the organism with one cell, then we have two choices, that is no nucleus and has nucleus. If we click on nucleus, then it may be from protista. If organism having no nucleus, it may be from monera. So next point, where we click on the organism more than one cell. If our organism having more than one cell, then it may be autotrophic or heterotrophic. So if we click on heterotrophic, it also having two leads, that is mobile or immobile. So mobile means animalia, they are mutiles, where immobiles means fungi. We know that the fungi is also heterotrophic and animals also heterotrophic, but animals are motile where the fungi are immotile. So this branching type of key help us to identify the species for the identification. But there is a problem that the choice are separated, but it is easy to see the relationship, while the key might be more difficult to construct. So in this type of key, it is more difficult to construct and it give more information to user. So there are some problems using in Dichotomous key. So first of all, the key may not include all potential variation in species. So let's talk about the problems using Dichotomous key or disadvantage of Dichotomous key. So first of all, the key may not include all potential variation in species. We know that the organism having the variation among them. One type of species also show the variations, and this key not include all potential variation in the species, so that we cannot easily characterize them or compare them. Second one, the key may rely on features not present in that season. So basically this key or Dichotomous key showing the character which is morphological or embryologically or anatomically present but not seasonal character, maybe hibernation, estivation. These are seasonal characteristics, and these seasonal characteristics are not present in Dichotomous key, which is not rely on that, because some species show some character in seasonals, so they may be useful for their identification. So Dichotomous key not really on that such a fact features of organism present in the season. Next one is the key may not include all species of interest. We know that the earth having the variation, and this variation in plants and animals. So there are a lot of animals and organisms living on earth planet. So this all the species regarding one class or one kingdom are not included in a key, so that all the species of our interest are maybe not present in a key, so that it is disadvantage. That is, for example, if we find any unknown species and the key or the information regarding to that unknown species are not available, so the use of dictonomous key is useless. So this is the advantage key, that key not include the all species regarding our interest. Next one is, one may be interpreted a feature or make mistake. Sometimes the mistakenly the character of the organism mistakenly misinterpret or wrongly written. So this wrong or misinterpret make a mistake for identification of that unknown organism. So for that the key are not useful for the identification of such an unknown organism. So these are the some advantage of dictonomous key. For this, to avoid this disadvantage, scientists show research new another type of key which relatively new, which is polyclave key. So this another type of key which is relatively new alternative to dictonomous key and becoming increasingly popular, especially because of the essay of computerizing them. And the term is polyclave, multiple axis, or synaptic key. So this polyclave key is computerized so that we can easily find the unknown organism by clicking the one button, where the dictonomous key is written document, so that the identification of organism may difficult for unknown for the user, sorry, for the user, because each book doesn't carry the all character or all species among the earth surface, but in computerized format we have the all type of species regarding the earth planet. So it is easy to find out the unknown organism and their characters regarding to their morphology, embryology, or their many aspects. So basically, the advantage of this key is that they allow user to enter key at any point. We can enter any point or any class. Maybe we start from the kingdom, or maybe we click on the directly on spaces, so that we can easily find out the organism which we find which known to be unknown. Okay, so we can easily find out the organism by clicking their morphological character, and find out the what actually taxa they possess. So this key is based on the identification of organism based on the process of elimination. So basically the key, so this key having this series of characters, so we have to choose one character and goes to next one. So the characters they are eliminated, so that elimination go narrower and narrower, so that we can easily find out the organism. So so this polyclave also find in written. So in written polyclave key there is a series of character, and this character statement, and each statement is followed by number or code for the species that possess that feature. So by the using this number and codes for species, we can easily identify the unknown organism. So the user need to select any character and then copy down the list of species that possess the features. Then the user has to select another character and eliminate any species that is not common to both lists. So this is process to be continued until the specimen is identified. So this polyclave key is useful for the identification of unknown organism. For example, pollination in plants. So pollination is process of transferring pollen from one flower to another. Since the plants can't move, they utilize vectors such as winds, water, animal to accomplish this process for them. So flowers are specialized by shape, color, nectar, etc. So in order to maximize the chance that certain vector will accomplish pollination, and this flower adaptation are collectively known as pollination syndrome or pollination system. So plants differ in degree of their specialization for particular pollination system. For example, many orchids are pollinated by only a single type of bee. So other flowers are not specialized and may be pollinated by a variety of bees or perhaps beetles. So in other case, insect may be visit flowers without actually transferring pollen. This factor make it difficult to determine with absolute certainty the pollination system by Polyclave key. So let's talk about the suggestion. So how to use this Polyclave key. So first of all, you read through the list of character to become familiar with the possibility. Whatever the unknown organism you find, you have to read the character list which is familiar to your organism. Then scan the list to find the character with the statement that you observe in your specimen. So whatever the character you observe in organism, you have to scan in list and click on it. So write a brief description of this character and statement and give number of taxa that can describe this statement. So after the clicking of this statement that observed in your specimen, you write in brief that character and click on the number of taxa which describe that statement. Then choose another character and statement that describe below the number of first statement choose. Okay, whatever you choose first statement which is right, then click on second which is also morphological character of your unknown specimen, and then scratch up the original list of any taxon that doesn't appear in second. So continue this process until just one taxon remain for all of this state. If there is no single taxon described by this state, choose, and two or more remain, go back and check for errors. Okay, so whatever type of character you choose, that statement remain a single taxon. If you remain two or more than taxa, then go back and check error. What kind of error you make for the choose character regarding to your unknown organism. Lastly, read the name of taxon after the number in the list of taxa. Check your identification with description in a manual or herbarium. So after getting all the characters regarding to your unknown organism, read the name of taxon after this number in list of taxa. So you can identify them by the description in manuals and herbarium. So compare their characters and morphology in manuals and herbarium, so you can find your unknown organism name and their identity. So let's talk about the advantages of Polyclave key. So this Polyclave key is easy to use because it is computerized, so it is more easy than the written document. Secondly, it allows multiple entry, so that is user can start anywhere. So this is significant advantage because the user can rely on character that are most easy to observe. So rather than the having to deal with the character that may not be present in specimen or poorly developed. So we have to allow the multiple entry. Whatever kind of morphology we find, we just scan the list, click on that morphological character so that we can enter in the taxa what taxa actually they belong. So it is allow the multiple entry. Next one is the order free. So basically user can work in any direction with any character. We can whatever, okay, so whatever organism we find, that unknown organism, their unknown character, we can use this unknown character for the identification of organism. Next one, they are faster. So basically we know that the Polyclave key is computerized, So it is faster than the written document. We can easily find the unknown organism morphology and their description for finding their taxa and their place in taxonomic key. So they are easily computerized. So in fact, these key are most commonly used in this form. So paper version are typically large and unwieldy because each character need to list all possible taxa. So basically, this polyclave key is computerized, and this computerized form of this polyclave key is useful for the identification of unknown organism regarding to their morphological, anatomical, embryological, paleontological, geographical character, so that we can easily find that organism what actually taxa they possess. So I hope you understand this concept regarding to types of taxonomic key and their advantage and disadvantage.